language barrier, he's speaking English words and using all the correct grammar and everything, but you wouldn't be able to understand what he was saying.
Why?
Because it is from a different world. His frames of reference would be so bizarre that you wouldn't be able to get a grasp on what he was talking about, because you'd have so little in common, even if he used real words.
No, but he's talking English.
Yeah, no, but his reference points would be just so far removed. When if you saw two people talking about Kierkegaard, you'd
I wouldn't understand it.
Exactly. So remove that 1 billion times to a different species with different input.
No, but it depends. If I'm talking to a lion in London Zoo,
yeah,
he'll be saying, "Oh, I'm fed up of being stuck in here." I'll go, "Yeah." It's like that. It depends what his background is. I mean, there's some people who might have lived down the road from me, but have a totally different life.
Absolutely.
So it doesn't matter that it's a lion, does it?
Well, yeah, because they're just trying to remove it even more. So now it's not just a bloke who lived a few doors away. Now it's not even a bloke. Now it's not even...
Yeah, but I'd pick something smaller, or something, a worm without a mouth. I'd go, definitely not.
What? Definitely not what?
I wouldn't be having a chat with it. I just think that a worm that's underground, what's it got to offer me? He's blind and it hasn't got a mouth. It's not going to be a good day out with it. Much to say to me, even if it's English. Right?
Even if it's English.
And how can you tell if a worm is English? Is it wear a very tiny bowler hat? Oh, Christ.
But do you understand...
What about a jellyfish?
No, you see, I think that's where you can say you wouldn't be able to have a good chat with them, because to me, the sea might as well be another world.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
In a way, I think the fish sort of have more rights than us.
What do you mean?
Just because when whoever made the world, right? Yeah. Say, we're just bigging up God, but if I was to have a go at him, I'd say you added too much water.
Criticism 1 to God, right?
So,
how would you have changed that? Just
more land.
Fair enough. Now, why have fish got more rights than us?
Because there's loads of them, and when you look at the amount of sea on the world, right? There's loads of that. You only have to like I was in Malaga the other week, right? And there's loads of different fish, and that's just in 8-foot water. If you go miles out, there's all sorts of weird fish, isn't there, with lights on them and everything. So, and there's just millions of different types.
Yeah.
Now,
but why does that mean they've got more rights than us?
Just because I think, rights come in numbers, don't they? If you know what I mean. Like, if there's one of you shouting, people go, "Oh, he's an idiot, shut up," whatever. If there's loads of you shouting, they go, "Oh, best listen to them, see what they've got to say." Right. And that's what I mean about fish.
Yeah.
There's loads of fish.
Right.
So...
But they're not really making their voices heard, though, are they, Carl?
Yeah.
I know, because they're underwater. But what I mean is... I don't know what I mean.
The Ricky Gervais Show on Guardian Unlimited.
Oh, pleased to meet you. Start me up. I'm about Channel 4 Friday night comedy. So start me up. Now then, there's 3 great new comedies from New Green Wing. That's nearly ready. My Name is Earl and The It Crowd. The great new comedy from the creator of Father Ted. Ow! Friday night comedy this Friday on Channel 4. Switch me in. It's going to be a winner.
Carl, right? What do you think it's like being a crab? If you could go now, your mind into a crab, what would you see? Where would you be? What would you be doing? What would you be thinking? What would you think of all the other things? The crabs you'd see, the squids you'd see. What's it like? Do you think? I want you to. It's like creative writing. Just think. Just let yourself go. Come on.
It's got to be a crab.
What do you think of a slug? What do you think to be a slug? What would you do if you were transported now into a slug? What would you do? And Suzanne, you're at and Suzanne's sort of like there, just making tea and that. How do you let her know it's you?
It's impossible. I'd just chuck myself into the salt pot or something. No, because what do you do? I'd hate that. That would be horrible. That.
Have you ever read Franz Kafka's Metamorphosis, in
Don't
which a
think
man wakes up and he's turned into a giant beetle, and that's the whole story. I think it might be of interest to you.
So what happened to him with the beetle?
Well, I don't want to ruin it for you in case you read it.
I
but
won't be
it's,
reading it. Don't worry.
He joined a pop group with 3 other people. He was brilliant.
No, it's a really wonderful book. It's a kind of almost heartbreaking because, of course, he does, like Ricky's saying, he finds it very hard then to relate to other people, even though he still has the consciousness of a human. You know, his parents, his rest of his family, they don't know how to deal with him, you know, because he's a giant beetle. He becomes a freak, he becomes an outsider. It's terrible, you know.
But hang on, though. Is he a giant beetle? Or
Yeah.
is he... Well, yeah, that's not going to go down well, is it? That, of course, people aren't going to like you. Sized one, then you just get in with the other beetles, don't you? Whereas if you're
But
a
you'd be
giant...
sort of
How would you do that? How would you ingratiate yourself? Right, so you're suddenly a beetle, you're Carl Pilkington, right? There's other people, they're doing their business, they're scuttling around, and you go in there, and they look at you as a new beetle. What's your first... What do you do? How do you ingratiate yourself?
Well, for a bit, I wouldn't sort of barge into their house and that. I'd wait until they're out and about, and I'd like in life, right? Sort of help them out. I don't know what beetles do all day. I've never seen one doing anything. They just seem to be going from one place to another.
Right.
I've never seen them carrying anything. I don't know what they eat. I don't know what they do. I don't know how we've got them, right? But what I mean is, I'd watch them and I'd sort of help them out. And I mean, you know, it's like going on a date or meeting a woman, isn't it?
But what if there is a
Whoa,
beetle
hang
there?
on, what do you mean? How is it like going on a date with a woman?
Well, it's like I said about Suzanne with her hot chocolate. She bought me that, and I've gone, she's all right. Right? She gets me another one before I know it. She's living with me. So
These beetles, they're scrolling around, right? You're sort of like watching them, and then you realise that you want to mate with this female beetle. What do you do? What's your first move?
yeah, but I don't know what beetles do I? So I don't know what you do. I don't know if you go up and go, all right. What do they do? How did they get on?
Well,
It's a different world. I don't know yet, do I? Because I haven't done it.
would you feel bad because having your own mind in this beetle, right? Would you feel bad shagging a beetle? Would you feel that was a bit sick because you've got a human mind?
Well, no, because you just close your eyes and that, wouldn't you? And go, pretend to think of something else. So get round it that way. There's no point getting down about it because I'm stuck now as a beetle. So you've got to get on with it.
But if you're a slug, you said you'd throw yourself in the salt pot. What would you do if you're a beetle if you got depressed? And you see all the other humans.
No,
you see
but-
your mates, right? They're listening to the iPod. What would you do?
But no, that's what I'm saying, though. Beetles are different because they do tend to hang about with each other. A slug's always on its own. It's a lonely insect.
It's not an insect.
All right, what is it?
A mollusk.
Right, they're lonely. I've never seen a load of snails all together or slugs wandering about. Whereas beetles seem to knock about in crowds.
Yeah.
So, oh God. Okay, right, another one.
So they're sociable creatures, and it wouldn't bother you that you've got the mind of Carl Pilkington in there? Because you can't communicate with these people
what if
because they
you're
don't speak English. They don't have any communication with you.
Yeah, but if it's happened to me, there'll be another one in there.
Okay then. Right. Okay. What would you do? Right. That's the most disgusting thing. What could it be? Right. What would you do? Right. If you were suddenly a fly, right, and you were knocking around with the flies, right, and you had to land on some,
Excrement?
yeah. What would you do?
Yeah, but I don't have to.
What do you mean? You're a fly. You're
Yeah, but
loving
I
it.
wouldn't. No, I wouldn't be loving it, though, would I?
Why?
Because I'm me in that fly's head. So I don't think other flies would be going, come on, join in. I'd just be like, wait, watch and that. Because I don't see why they have to do that.
What would you do, right, if you had to go back and you were in a, had to go put your mind in like the an hatched egg of something, like maybe one of those that a wasp was injected in a spider. So you know you're in an egg, right, which is really uncomfortable, in a spider. How would you feel about that, Carl? You're a baby wasp in the abdomen of a spider.
And I know everything that I know now. I'm sat in there.
Yeah. And now I'm in a spider as an unborn wasp. What the fuck am I doing here? What's going on?
I don't know what I'll do there. Probably try and sleep. There's nothing else to do, though, is there?
I just pray to God it never happens.
The Ricky Gervais Show on Guardian Unlimited.
I don't believe that he's written it down.
Well, that's the jingle that signals it's time for more extracts from Carl's diary, and we'll lunge straight into it. Wandered down Carnaby Street. There was a happy homeless fella. I gave him £1.50. I thought of a tongue twister after giving him the money. It goes, if you can't treat a cheerful tramp, what sort of tramp can you treat?
It's good, that.
All
Say
right.
it fast.
If you can't treat a cheerful tramp, what sort of tramp can you treat?
Yeah, good, isn't it?
Good, that, yeah. You've got too much time on your hands, Carl.
Learned some famous quotes to see if they are as good as my sayings. Number 1, treat every day as if it's your last. Very famous saying. Now, is that something you do, Carl?
But you know, my problem with that one is that if it was your last, you wouldn't want to be doing much. That's the only problem I've got with that. I wouldn't want to, go to a fairground or whatever, because you're going, oh, it's my last day, what am I going to do? And I think you'd spend so much time worrying about what you're going to do that you'd end up staying in.
You've taken some of the poetry out of it. I think it means live life to the fullest, right?
I like the fact that you were musing on the idea that if it was your last day, you'd go to the fair. It's getting such a 19th century way of spending your final day.
I know, yeah. Well, the thing is, the other thing is that the only thing that people get depressed about in terms of sort of like life and death is not the knowledge that they're gonna die, but more the knowledge that they know they're going to die when they're dying. If someone told you no one ever knows when they're going to die, no one ever gets an illness, no one ever gets hit by a truck, everyone passes away peacefully in their sleep, dreaming they're riding a big marshmallow, right? Then you wouldn't care about anything. It wouldn't matter when. It wouldn't matter if you died tomorrow or in 30 years' time. You'd just live life to the full. You'd have it, every day would be great. You'd go out, you'd come back, you'd fall asleep. That would be amazing. There'd be no angsty, we're all going to die stress, because it wouldn't matter, because it would just be your life. Wouldn't it be amazing if someone guaranteed you, Carl, you're going to die in your sleep? I'm not going to tell you when.
Yeah, but some people do, don't they?
Well, exactly.
Yeah,
but we never know we're going to, because we stress. What if we get a dreadful illness? What if we,
But we're almost not letting people die naturally anymore, are we? Because we're always bodging stuff up.
What do you mean?
Well, someone who might naturally die in the sleep aren't allowed to naturally die in the sleep because they wake them up with those electric things and get them going again and pop in a new lung or whatever whilst they're at it. That's what I'm saying. They don't just... You never hear it anymore, do you? Frank peacefully died in his sleep. No, he died on the operating table whilst we were putting in a new lung. They don't die naturally anymore.
Frank died peacefully with 40,000 volts going through them and a couple of people going, clear, clear.
Russian as I'm flying to Malaga tomorrow to see my mum and dad. Don't like flying. I'd be happy if they give you a parachute instead of a life jacket. They say Da Vinci invented the parachute as well as the helicopter. He never got round to making them though because he only drew them on some paper. Got up at 5 a.m. as I had to get to Heathrow to get on the plane to see mum and dad in Malaga. Went out for a drink with a cousin who lives in Spain. Ain't seen her for 27 years. Oh, that must have been tricky, making conversation.
I didn't really bother. Because where do you start? I might as well go up to anyone in the street and start having a chat.
Yeah, you have to go further back than... did you want Chantal to win Big Brother?
Yeah. Me dad and me talked about history. I said we shouldn't go on about things that happened ages ago because I bet something similar has happened more recently.
Brilliant.
Read about an island in the Indian Ocean where there are tribesmen still living like they're cavemen. A helicopter tried to land and the tribesmen chucked spears at them. This is what I meant about not having to talk about things that happened ages ago. We have got new cavemen now, so why do we talk about the old ones? People could have lived before, but computers and all that, so all they had left was what these tribesmen have got left.
Ramblings
And that's the ramblings
madman.
of a maniac. That's just a few hours before you go crazy with a gun in there.
No, but what I mean there is, right, say if all this has happened before, right, podcasting's been happening years ago, something happens.
Again, a lot of information from the Planet of the Apes.
Something happens, world ends, right, we come back again somehow.
Yeah. It's the detail you leave out that makes you intriguing. Just like the watch that you can wear that tells you when you're going to die. How does it work? Pop it on your wrist. That's all the detail you need. So the world happened.
No.
We came back.
Have you seen the pictures? forget it then if you don't get it.
It's interesting that you had all those profound thoughts about this period in the past when they all lived, but you've still found it appropriate to include at the end of that. It says the tribesmen wave their knobs about when they've had enough of having visitors.
That's what it said in the paper. Quite happy.
What paper is this that you're reading?
It was in like a paper a couple of days ago. It said they don't mind having visitors if they're bringing them coconuts and stuff that they can eat. Once they've got everything they need, they start waving the tackle about, and that means like, right, leave now, which you would, wouldn't you?
Yeah, at a dinner party.
My grandfather used to do that.
Well now, what have we here? I'm here to tell you all about Friday night comedy on Channel 4. There's 3 great comedies. Green Wing, It's Nearly Ready, My Name is Earl, and The It Crowd. The great new comedy from the creator of Father Ted. And what have we here? Jingle, jangle, jingle, jangle as it happens. Friday night comedy, this Friday on Channel 4. Switch it on. Now then, well now, young man. Well now then, well now then, young man.
Breaking news!
That jingle is getting more annoyed by the week.
Well, this is the final Monkey News, right? I'm not doing this anymore, right? Because we've covered it all.
All the Monkey News has been covered?
It has. We've done loads of them. I think all the news that needs to be sort of known has been told, right?
That is the end of the news. Jesus Christ.
What?
Get on with it.
Right, do you know in the first podcast that we did, we chatted about the monkey that went into space and stuff.
Yeah.
So where we left
So
it...
haven't you got a real new Monkey News?
Well, it's an update, isn't it? I mean,
Is it new? Has
No,
it happened recently? Has it happened since podcast 1?
I have to pick Ricky up on the point that he thinks any of the Monkey News we've heard, A, happened, and B, happened recently. It almost always happened in olden times or ages ago.
Oh, you're right. It never happened.
Yeah.
Right, anyway. So, like I say, this monkey that went into space...
This was the one that was fed by bananas that came out of a little chute on the spacecraft.
Yeah, it went up there, did a really good job. It was taught how to press the buttons, hit the left button for a banana, you know.
Right button to
go right.
Whatever.
Make history and
Go
go into
right and
space.
Right,
What do I want? Not more banana. You haven't taken off yet? More banana. Oh, we shouldn't have given him a choice of banana or a change history. We should have the right button. We should have fed him before he went and only had a right button. He's at the left button again. He's just eating bananas up there. What's going on?
It's costing us a fortune!
Hey, little fucker. Press the right button and do something. Oh, bananas. Hey, you hit the left button again, the little fucker.
so anyway, yeah, I told you, he went up there, he came back, he could never get that
The high
again.
yeah.
You know what I mean? He tried other things. I think he tried to get a band together and that. Right, so anyway, there was loads of monkeys that were signed up to this NASA program, and it was 1961 when this little monkey called Ham, that was his name, so a bit of an update. That's the same one as I taught as him. There was one called Enos. He went round the world loads of times. So anyway, what I found out about it since then, Ham went up there, did the left-right business with the bananas. Enos, they didn't put as much work into the trip when he went up there, and something went wrong with the machinery. And do you know how you get a banana for the left button and all that?
It's official now.
Yeah.
There's 2 buttons in this spaceship. Banana dispenser and everything else. The right button is everything else.
But it worked the other way. The machinery went weird.
Oh, no, really?
So it meant that the right button would give him a banana.
Right.
The left button did everything else.
Oh, no.
How did
So
that, how
what?
did
So
that
what had
happen,
been
though?
taught? This is the problem with electronics, isn't it?
Well, no, I don't see
No,
how
this,
that's- I don't
apparently
see
this
how
is the problem.
But the good, I mean, honestly, look it up if you want. This is all online, by the
So
way.
what happened when it all went haywire? What occurred?
Well,
Luckily-
Carl, this is online and it's bollocks.
Look at Nos, because he'd done a few trips.
Right, he
So
was
he was like,
experienced.
well, I know this isn't right. As much as I love bananas, this isn't right.
That was his thinking, of course it was.
So anyway, so he came back. They were all like over the moon with him.
He
you
said,
know,
I
going,
can't work with these conditions.
good mission and everything. Well done on working it out. He sorted all that out. It moved on a few years. Armstrong's gone up there. Buzz and that other fella, they've been up there. The monkeys aren't needed anymore. But they were like, we've got all these monkeys who have done NASA training. what we're going to do with them all.
Mm.
And they had to raise £14 million to make them like an old sort of chimps home for retired
Retired NASA-trained monkeys.
Chimpanauts.
Something they've got in there is like a little museum, right, of all the missions and that they've been on, so they can sort of, even though they're not going to be going into space again, they can almost relive it and reminisce of the times that they've had. And
they're reminiscing with each other, are they?
just sort of went wrong. The button became the left when it should have been the right, and all the rest of it. They just, sort
Talking
of
about old times,
talking about old times and what have you, like old people like to do.
Sure.
And yeah, that's it. So if you want to like give some money towards their home, you can go to like savethechimps.org, and it's all there. All that information that I've given you, it's all there. You can.
I'd be surprised if all the information you've given us is there.
It's all there.
I'd be very surprised.
It's all there. Just retired, monkeys and that who've done the bit.
Perhaps we should retire Monkey News to that same place.
That's what I mean. So, I hope you've enjoyed the monkey news and that. That was the last one. Look after the monkeys. Do your bit, because they've done their bit. That's it, yeah. But just because I'm not giving the news, look it up. Do you know what I mean? It's all out there. Don't be ignorant.
Wise words.
Thank you so much for the 12 podcast. I've really enjoyed it. I know Steve and Carl have. This podcast was, as usual, hosted by Positive Internet, the world's #1 podcast. Next week, a brand new podcast. We have, as I say, we have got to charge a little bit for it because it does cost money to host. And please keep listening. It is going to be very little, and Carl needs your money. If you could see what I see now, he's just looking at me with his. He just needs stuff, don't you, Carl? What do you need? What do you need?
Just something more than nothing.
For information on the archive of the podcasts, these last 12 shows, and for the new podcasts to come, go to rickygervais.com. You can register there. We'll send out loads of information. Plus, you'll just find out links to how to get all this stuff that we're offering out there. There's also a free taster if you just can't wait for more of Carl's nonsense. Make sure, please, that you register your email and everything so we can get in touch and just tell you what's going to happen with the Ricky Gervais Show, with Carl's Mind, and with everything else. rickygervais.com. Go.
It's the end of an era, but the start of a new one. It's almost seamless in a way, isn't it? The end and the beginning. But Carl, what do you think about that? How things end and new things begin?
Well, I suppose you've got to have an end for a beginning, so it's just a bit odd that we've got an end and having a beginning. But that's science for you.
The Ricky Gervais Show on Guardian Unlimited. The Ricky Gervais Show on Guardian Unlimited.
Hello, welcome to another podcast of the Ricky Gervais Show with me, Ricky Gervais, Steve Merchant. Hello. All right. And, of course, Carl Pilkington.
All right.
Rick, you'll be pleased to know we've already had some responses. You remember last week I mentioned that you can email us on podcast@rickygervais.com if you've got anything for Carl or you or I. And Simon and Mark have already emailed us in this link to something that was on the BBC News website. I don't know if you're familiar with this, but it's a remarkable story. Well, I'll give you the headline straight away, and you can draw your own conclusion. Lion mutilates 42 midgets in Cambodian ring fight. That's just the headline.
That's a hell of a headline. That makes me want to know more about the story.
Well, that's what
a headline should do.
I mean, I think we'd all read the news. We'd all take more interest in the news if they could open the BBC News at 6 o'clock every night. Bong. Lion mutilates 42 midgets in Cambodian ring fight. Bong. We'd definitely pay more attention. So this is the story. It's just extraordinary. Spectators cheered as entire Cambodian midget fighting league squared off against African lion.
Now, midget fighting league.
You're an ignoramus. Everyone, of course, has heard of the CMFL, which is genuinely what it's known as in Cambodia. Now, like you, I don't know who the Cambodian midget fighting league are normally fighting. I don't know what tournaments.
I assume it's each other.
Well, I assume each other.
It's midget fighting then.
Yeah, well, let me just give you more information, and then we can dissect it afterwards. Tickets had been sold out 3 weeks before the much-anticipated fight. The fight was organised when an angry fan contested Yang Shamoni, president of the CMFL, claiming that one lion could defeat his entire league of 42 fighters.
So this bloke is going to the president and going, I reckon a lion could get all your midgets.
I reckon he could destroy all of your 42 midget fighters. Now, apparently, Shamoni, the president of the CMFL, he takes great pride in the league, and he's conveyed in a recent advertising campaign that his midgets will take on anything, man, beast, or machine. Now, I don't know what kind of machine, again, midgets are fighting.
But don't the midgets have a say in
a
this?
Washing machine. I don't know.
The midgets going, all right, keep it down. No, they won't fight anything. Well, we won't fight anything. We're sort of like equally matched.
No, you'll fight a beast or a machine.
No. I'll fight another midget. I will fight any midget. Is what. When I said I'll take on anything, I meant another midget.
Machines.
So this bloke goes, I reckon a lion could take on your midgets. He goes, rubbish.
Yes. And that is why an African lion was shipped in especially for the event, which took place a couple of Saturdays ago, in the city's Colosseum. I mean, they've got a Colosseum, Rick, which is already brilliant.
So hold on, this is sanctioned by the city?
Well, the Cambodian government allowed the fight to take place under the condition that they receive a 50% commission on each ticket sold, and that no cameras would be allowed in the arena. We'll take 50%, but for dignity's sake, there's no cameras. We don't want to make this into a. We don't want to make this into a
spectacle.
Yeah.
No. It's just lion versus midget, but
exactly. Well, 42. Never forget there was 42 midgets. Now this is the tragedy element, and this is why we shouldn't be laughing, because the fight was ended.
Don't tell me the lion gets hurt.
Well, the fight was ended, Rick, after only 12 minutes, after which 28 were declared dead.
Right.
While the other 14 suffered severe injuries, including broken bones, lost limbs, and they were basically unable to fight.
But the
anymore.
lion wasn't hurt.
It would have seemed that the lion was okay.
Oh, good, because the lion had no choice in this.
No.
See, that's I love it when a human takes on a beast and comes unstuck, because that lion was scared and defending itself. Those little midgets were loving it. They wanted to go.
What do you mean they were loving it? You don't know that.
Well, why would they do it?
Well, what I find out... Well, I'm worried, you see. I don't know the ins and outs of this. I wonder if they were fighting against their will. I got the horrible feeling, because with all due respect to any midgets listening, they must be fairly easy to round up. You could probably corral some midgets fairly easily. You only need some regular full-size people, and it'd be easy to grab some midgets and take them away, whisk them away, put them in a cage.
No, because because they don't. Because a lot of them stand on each other's shoulders and wear a long coat.
Sure, but...
And a hat, and you go, oh, that's not a midget.
No,
let him go.
Well, those ones are getting away with it. They're fine. They're wandering around, fine. Because who's voluntarily going to join the Cambodian Midget Fighting League?
They want to fight other midgets. They're allowed. They want to fight. They can't get in real boxing matches because the fellas are too big for them. But they can go, well, I'll tell you what, let's have our own little fighting league, right?
But if I was on the Cambodian Midget Fighting League, I'd be livid. I'd be thinking to myself, well, I can't believe I listened to my agent and he's put me up fighting a lion. I mean, I should have just taken Panto in Grimsby. I can't believe what I've done.
I can't believe it. But hold on, though.
I thought...
Are they all really midgets, or are they lumping in dwarves with them?
It's not specified, Rick, but...
But that annoys me when people say, oh, look at these midgets, and I go, hold on, no, they're making up the numbers with a couple of dwarves there. That's clearly only 39 midgets and 3 dwarves.
Sure.
Well, that's amazing.
Carl, what are your thoughts instantly? I mean, you're bound to have a take on that.
Whose side am I meant to be on there?
What?
Well,
I'd be on the lion side. I'd never go to a bullfight, but I love it when I see a matador gored to death. Because, again, the bull doesn't want to get in that ring and fight a bloke with swords, okay? So I love it. I think it's disgusting. And when someone says a midget versus lion, I'm thinking, well, to be honest, because they haven't got a choice. So, and I hate it when people go, oh, I went to a bullfight when I was in Spain, but it's the tradition, isn't it? Oh, well, there's loads of traditions that we don't adhere to anymore. So I say it shouldn't have happened, of course, but if it happens, I'm glad the lion isn't hurt.
See, what's annoying me is I've sent money to Cambodia because apparently they're hungry and haven't got any energy. So what's going on?
Well, it's much easier to fill up a midget than it is a regular Cambodian. They're happy on a Mars bar.
I'm being cheated a bit.
You were conned before with a charity, weren't you?
Well, a few times, yeah.
What about the old lady? What was that?
I got stopped, and it's like they sort of drag you in by saying, "Have you got a gran?" And I said, "No, they died," and that. It's like, oh, did they die of the cold? No, she's, ill, what have you, just old age. He said, well, what happens with a lot of people's grands is they die in the cold, right? So I was like, oh, that's bad, isn't it? Anyway, so she's chatting, and she's showing me pictures of these old women who look cold, right? Saying, look at her, that's Edna family, she can't pay the bills and all that.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh yeah. Anyway, it goes on for about 15 minutes, and you feel bad. You give them your bank details, right? And what happens is, every couple of months, you get a letter from Edna. Well, it's not from her, it's typed up and what have you. But there's a picture of Edna, right? And it's saying, oh, this December, Edna's going to be extra cold. It's cold outside, she can't afford to pay the heat and what have you.
Yeah.
Keep going, right? So you keep paying every month like £5, whatever. Get another letter a few months later, right? Edna's sat there. She's got a tan.
What do you mean she's got a tan?
Well, when they said, she's cold, I thought they meant for the heating, not to send her on holiday for a month. She sat there with a tan. I'm not joking.
Are you sure it wasn't just a slight problem in the printing?
No, definitely.
Sure,
she looked well happy.
Sure, it wasn't liver failure.
This is a terrible thing to say, but when I see those people approaching now with the clipboards on the street,
Yeah.
I always get my mobile phone out and pretend to have a
I've done
conversation.
that one.
The number of fake conversations I've had walking past them now.
Well, I felt sorry for them, right? Because I thought, to be fair, I've got about 10 standing orders where I felt sorry doing a good deed, the least I could do. I find out they're on about £8 an hour.
Are they?
Yeah.
They're not just doing it out of the kindness of their hearts.
Well, I don't want to
I
lie
thought they
to
were
them.
volunteers. I thought that was at least why I should feel guilty. If they're
No.
getting paid to do it.
I don't know. That could be wrong.
I think they do.
What?
I've heard they get paid and that.
Well, if someone knows, maybe email us.
in
with it.
podcast at rickygervais.com is how you can get in touch with us.
'Cause
If you know if these guys are getting fleecing us twice.
I heard something. Carl thinks they are. You think they're not?
I don't know anything, but anything that will allow me to
But
not
let's
feel
find
guilty.
out, because I don't want to slag them off, because they're obviously doing a good thing. So we find this out. It's, this is an educational show.
I tell you what, though, right? Because we've talked about homeless people before and that. And I walked past one the other day. He's always cheerful, right? But don't you think, right? If you had a company, it's worth taking them on, because they never have a lie in.
Brilliant.
I'm finding it quite exhausting now, because a lot of the homeless I've encountered recently, they're not even after my money. They're just looking for conversation. While I was walking along the other day, and I don't know what you're supposed to say to this. We were both at a Chinese restaurant. He glanced in. He looked back around to me. He went, "Woman in there with 3 phones, 3 mobile phones. Why does she need 3 mobile phones?" Got nothing to say to that. Got no opinion. Got absolutely no opinion of it. And I was thinking, what's going to have, and that thing when you sort of suddenly you got across the road conveniently to just get out of it. And there was another mad woman who started going. She was walking past me. She went, "Do you want to come to my church?" I went, "No, I don't believe in God." She went, "Do you believe in God?" Oh, 20 minutes. Conversation, 20 minutes. It was unbelievable. I got to a point where I was so angry with her, I was shouting out from across the other side of the room. I was the one who sounded like a nutter, going, "There isn't a God!" But
You see, when does it become bad to avoid people like that? Do you know what I mean? Because some people say you shouldn't. That they're people like us who've just had a bit of bad luck.
Well, of course they are.
Yeah, I know, but I remember one on our estate, right? And she was a bit. What's the word that you can use? Because I don't want to offend anyone. But I'd say but sort of mental homeless. Is that a term?
That's the official term.
I think that is the
new official term.